The opinions shared on Teal Time with Hope reflect those of the host and guests. Unless there's an expert in their field joining us, this podcast is for education and support only and does not replace medical or mental health advice. Please always consult a licensed professional for your personal care.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Till Time with Hope. I am the host, Hope, and I hope everyone is doing well. Yeah, we've made it to a new season, so welcome to season 4. I'm so excited to get this season started because, well, I'm hoping to get some new guests on the show. So as you know, I was part of that Be the Difference Runway for Hope fashion show, and I met some lovely Teal sisters there. But on top of that, I was recently at an event that I have never attended before, unfortunately, and I'm so stoked to say just a little bit about it. Yeah, a couple of Fridays ago, I attended the National Ovarian Cancer Coalition, NOCC, Survivor Education event. Now, it was actually held in person, not online, which was nice to really, get to know people. I feel like it's best to do it in person. And although online is good, especially for people who can't make it due to proximity of the event or for reasons like lack of transportation or something like that. I really do like the in-person events. Again, it was Survivor Education event. And like I said, I had never been to any of these and I really wish I had. But hey, you can't go back. And at the end of the day, what matters is that I attended this one. And y'all, I am so happy I did. Now, I did want to also put a little disclaimer out there that my voice has been quite not great as of late. And it was good that I had this month off before starting this new season because it was way worse. I had gotten sick with like a head cold/sinus infection. Yeah, basically I lost my voice, aka laryngitis, y'all. So it is better, but just as I'm speaking right now, I can tell that it's still not 100%. In addition to that, on Friday, I ended up having a flare-up with this autoimmune disorder that I have that has affected my mouth. Pretty much started in 2017. I'm quite sure that the amount of chemotherapy that I had from the 2019 and the 2020 recurrences did not help my situation at all. Because for those who know, chemotherapy can negatively affect our mouth, like it can negatively affect so many other areas. But I digress. Yeah, it caused a flare-up so much so, y'all, that it made it very hard to eat, to drink, and even speak. In fact, it started Tuesday. All of a sudden, I'm having this flare-up. I do not know what caused it. I didn't eat anything that was disadvantageous to my mouth, so to speak. And it was basically just my tongue on the left side. And by Friday, the inability to speak without a lot of pain had taken place. And so all that to say is that thankfully it got better. So yes, the laryngitis on top of the tongue issue. Not fun. I don't recommend it. But like my mother used to say, with all that you've gone through, this is just a walk in the park. And I try to keep that kind of perspective and remind myself it could always be worse. It's not taken away from the fact that it sucks and it's not ideal, but it can always be worse, and that helps a lot with my psyche. But yeah, so I can talk now, but my voice is still not where I'd like it to be. With that being said, I will continue on with the uber amount of love that I had for this event that was held by NOCC. It was at the beautiful Botanical Gardens in Grapevine, Texas. Now, it's not as big as the Dallas Botanical Gardens or the Fort Worth Botanical Gardens, but it does not take away from the fact that it was a really, really beautiful place. And it wasn't hot. It was actually a little rainy that day, so the weather was a bit cooler. They provided a nice little breakfast and coffee, and it was quaint. There might have been maybe 15 survivors that were there. So there were 2 things that they did on that day, which was they brought in 2 guests from UT Southwest to be like speakers, but in a very relaxed environment. Basically, they weren't like up there on a podium speaking. They were sitting down in front of us, and it was very chill. Okay, so both of them come from UT Southwest. The first one is Dr. Ashley Hankson, PhD, Assistant Professor, Department of Psychiatry. And the second one, Natalie Norwood, MA, Psychology, Intern, Department of Psychiatry. And I really love the way they spoke to us. They spoke to us in a very calming voice, while at the same time confidently in their field of expertise, as well as sympathetic or empathetic, what have you, to those that were in the room as survivors of this ugly disease that is cancer. And I like what NOCC put on their social media. They said, today was about connection, sharing, learning, all while taking in the beauty of the Grapevine Botanical Gardens. I just want to give a shout out to Sara El-Shanshari. Sarah, if I pronounce this incorrectly, please forgive me. Y'all know, if you've been paying attention to this podcast, my pronunciations aren't always the best in general, but I do try, and I know when I was a teacher of the English language, that's always what I would tell my students. It's about trying and giving it a go and giving it your best, and I really do, but I still can make mistakes, and that's okay. That's okay. Also, thank you so much for the new listeners that are a part of this podcast. I hope some of y'all are from the event that I'm talking about today. It was a pleasure meeting y'all. It was a pleasure meeting all of the Till Sisters in the room, as well as seeing Sara again and the speakers that were there. Just know that it was an honor to be with you ladies. You know, we're a part of a club we never asked to be a part of, that being ovarian cancer survivors. But nevertheless, we are in this club. But it is so much better when we know we're in it together. And I think that was one of the probably resounding things that we spoke about as survivors in that group, is that we're not alone, that we have a sisterhood. And even though we don't spend a lot of time together, for those that aren't part of that running group, that one of my Till sisters brought up. Outside of that, you know, we don't see each other every day. We're not around survivors every day unless you specifically are in NOCC or working in OCC or another group for ovarian cancer awareness. We go off into our homes, we go off to our lives, to our work, to wherever, and there aren't others like us. And of course, that doesn't mean we're better or we're worse. We're just a part of a club that when we are together, it's wonderful to have that connection. And I think that also was what these ladies in the profession of psychiatry were kind of helping us to understand. People don't understand what it's like to go through this being cancer, right? This being survivorship. Nor would we want it. I can't speak for everybody, but I don't think any of us would ever wish this disease on anybody. I know I've spoken about the importance of mental health in a previous episode, but it bears repeating, especially since I am no expert, obviously, and I don't take an exuberant amount of time to speak deeply about the need to be open about the mental health aspect that comes from being told you have cancer, that comes from being told you have to go through the surgeries and the chemo treatments and so many things, right? From financial need, from spiritual need, from emotional need, to all the things that come afterwards, which these two speakers talked about. You know, it just doesn't stop. Those needs that I just said, right? The financial, spiritual, emotional needs that come from going through cancer it doesn't stop, y'all. Once the doctor's like, your blood work looks good, your CT scan results look good, you are dead, no evidence of disease, and I'll see you in 3 months or I'll see you in 6 months for checkups. It's not like, oh, wow, hope is good or so-and-so is good or they're great now. Let's get back to, doing what you were doing before cancer ever came in your life. It's just not that easy. There probably is even more now weighing on us as survivors / thrivers / warriors, right? In the sense that I never had anxiety before I went through cancer. Anxiety came after. How can it not? From being told you have cancer, from being told, what this disease is and how potentially bad it is, right? From whether it's the early diagnosis to the late diagnosis, from being told that, we're going to take all your reproductive organs out of you. You're not going to be able to have kids, Hope. You have to be good with that hope because this has to happen. And me going, hey, take them. I'm 40, almost 41. If I want kids, I can adopt. Because at that moment, all I'm thinking of is surviving. So do what you need to do because I want to live and I have a lot of life to live left. Which, it's a longer story. Of course, every one of us have stories and every one of our stories are much longer than a 20-minute to a 60-minute to a 120-minute podcast episode. It's impossible to quantify how much time it would take to truly tell our story. And we can try to summarize it. We can try to shorten it down. But each one of us know that realistically, it's impossible. And that's okay. I mean, how can you truly summarize all that you have gone through, all that I have gone through, all that we have gone through? And so when it comes to mental health, it's not just when we're going through it. It's also when we're completed with the medical side of it, right? From the surgeries, the treatments, the incessant amount of scans and blood work. I think they really pointed something out that was important, which is to let us know that they get it because they study this, but our loved ones don't get it. And it's not that they don't get it on purpose, and it's not that they are apathetic to what we're going through, but how can they get it? As much as they love us, and as much as they care for us, and as much as they saw us going through stuff that hurt their heart when we were in the thick of the diagnosis and treatments, they've never walked a mile in our shoes, right? Nor would we want them to. And I can't help but reiterate that. Nor would we want them to. Again, we wouldn't wish this on anybody. And so it's not about being angry at them and going, you guys don't get it. It just doesn't stop once treatment's over. Once the doctors are like, you're good, are things good now? Question mark. And the answer is no. They may be better, and they may be on the road to better and better and better. And I can 1,000% say that's the truth. I mean, it was for me. I got better and better and better and better and stronger and stronger and stronger. But there was all these other things that I was dealing with in the midst of all that, which was the mental aspect of it, the physical aspect of it, right? The emotional aspect of it that I don't think I really talked about enough after the first time in 2012. Even when I wrote my book, I didn't talk enough about it. Not that I regret that, because I was still learning about what it's like to be a survivor, a warrior. And I don't say that braggadociously, by the way. I think people who know me know that. I just say it in the sense of we are warriors. We are not defined by this. We're not simply survivors. But we are survivors. I think it's important for me personally to also say, but we are survivors. So I think sometimes I hear people use the word survivor as if it's, like it's a negative. And I think survivor is a positive, right? We survived something horrible. And so, yes, we are survivors, while at the same time we are thrivers and warriors as well. And warriors, y'all, warriors is just so strong. People have called me courageous, and I'm like, I don't think I'm courageous, but I will say I'm a warrior, and I do think that. And again, not in a braggadocious way, but yeah, at any rate, sitting in that room with these beautiful, lovely Till sisters and hearing experts in the field speak about what it's like mentally for us who have survived such a thing. It's just, in some ways, it's confirmation. It's not just in our head. And it's also kind of a way to say, it's okay to say it. I'm not always okay. And just because I'm not going through it right now, and hopefully never again, and just because everything looks clear on my scans and my blood work, etc., doesn't mean that I don't still think about this ugly disease almost every day. And from somebody who's had 2 reoccurrences, how do you expect me not to think about it? You know, people might say, don't have a spirit of fear. God didn't give you a spirit of fear. It's easy for people to say that when they're on that side. You feel me? Like, you're saying it from the side of somebody who has never had to face the beast that is cancer. And though their intentions are well, it's just they don't get it like those that were in the room get it. And so sitting there and listening to these wonderful speakers from UT Southwest, it just felt good, because it's like, they get it. And then hearing from some of my Till sisters in the room and them expressing their feelings, and then it getting to the point where I don't think any of us had a dry eye in the room, because it got quite emotional with the things that they were sharing. And by no means do I mean that's a bad thing. I think if anything, it was just more evidence of how we do need to speak about the mental health aspect of what it's like going through such an experience, and the need to keep talking about it, and the need for therapy if one should choose to have therapy, which I, of course, agree we should look into it. But if anything, even support groups. It felt like we were in a support group, to be honest, / an educational event as well. And when one of the Teal sister started crying. I think we all started to cry a little bit because we felt what she was feeling. And then when another one decided to speak up, it's like she had to. She felt she needed to. And maybe she needed to openly for the first time in front of people. I could feel the depth of her emotions. I could. She was right next to me. And I made sure to put my hand on her shoulder just to let her know she's not alone. And I think that's the big takeaway, is we may feel alone when we're out and doing our own thing in our homes, at our jobs, wherever, because no one around us really, really, truly understands what it's like to be on this journey. But when we're around others who do know that, who do know what it's like, who have been on a journey like us, like me, but differently, of course, but still on a journey that's called ovarian cancer survivorship, it's comforting knowing that we're not alone. It's comforting to know that the sisterhood is there, whether you can be a part of it in person or whether you can be a part of it online through social media or through online events like video groups. I just think it's great and beautiful. A tiltastic thing, a very humbling thing for me too, because I don't know, a very needed experience, because I do keep to myself in general, other than my cat. She looks at me like, hello, you got me, mama. And yeah, she very much is the love of my life and a light in my life. But outside of that, for real, I don't have a group of people I hang out with here. And that hopefully is going to change when I move to Colorado. But I haven't had a lot of people to do things with. Siblings that live out in the Houston area, a brother that, works a lot, so we don't see each other a lot, and friends all over the world, literally. So I'm not alone. I just don't have a lot of people that I do things in person with. And that's okay, because I do have a therapist. And I also go to the gym, and I go to the park, and I volunteer, and I do things. So don't get me wrong. I'm not somebody who, is by themselves and alone and sad. Yeah, I get sad. And yes, I'm alone sometimes, but I'm never truly alone, if you get what I mean. Because I have my faith in God, higher power, and I have purpose with podcasting, with writing, and traveling, and life continues to be good and life continues to move forward. In spite of all the things that have taken place, which, as long as you're alive, there are going to be things that are going to come our way. We all have to deal with trials and tribulations and ups and downs. I mean, it is life, and life's like a roller coaster, like real talk. But yeah, and I may have gotten off a little bit from the main topic at hand, but you know what? I like to be organic and authentic like that. I don't have a script that I read off of. Same when I have guests on my show. I want it to feel real. And maybe to a degree, I could probably tweak some of that and be a little bit more focused. But we shall see as I continue to evolve with Teal Time with Hope. So yes, in summary, the NOCC Survivor program was amazing. It was fantastical, truly. I got to meet some new Teal sisters, and I got to see a couple of them from the Be the Difference event. Ultimately, myself and those that were there got a better understanding of the mental health aspects of what it's like to survive cancer. And no, not all of us are dealing with a mental health illness or issue, rather. I mean, yes, I've been diagnosed with anxiety and mild depression, but not all of us that go through this are diagnosed with anything. But it doesn't take away from the fact that they could have moments of anxiety, moments of sadness, depression, moments of feeling like there's a bit of PTSD there. And there is, to a degree, a different type of PTSD. And I love that I was able to ask that question to the speakers and them kind of confirm that's true, that it's not in the sense of, PTSD from effects of war for people that have gone to combat or in other things. But it doesn't take away from the fact that there is a different type of PTSD, so to speak, because it was a traumatic event, y'all, no doubt. So even though we're not diagnosed with PTSD, doesn't mean that there aren't things that could trigger what we have gone through and what we experience post-treatments. And not in a way that we want pity. I have not met anybody that has gone through cancer, whether it's ovarian or otherwise, who is looking for pity, who is looking for people to feel sorry for them. Nay, fair lady, as some people say. It's not that at all. We don't want pity. We don't want people to feel sorry for us. We just want, or would like rather, for people to understand that navigating cancer is hard in itself, but there is also navigating post-cancer and what it's like on our psyche, on us mentally, and that, just for loved ones and friends and anybody that's in our lives to understand that there is so much more to cancer than just the actual cancer and the treatment. And in my opinion, I think the more we talk about it, not just amongst ourselves, but to the loved ones, to our friends, to our families, that, hey, I know I may seem like this really uber strong person, and I have only continued to fight this disease and move forward and never quit. And I have this gun-ho attitude of, I got purpose, I'm going to live, and I'm not going to die, and I'm not until it's my time. And all of that is true, but I'm also just human. And I may not always show or say that sometimes I'm just not okay. And it's taken a lot for me to just be able to say it's okay, to say I'm not okay. I loved that so many people checked in on me when I was going through the thick of it. That helped motivate me to keep fighting, to keep my head up. It really did. But like we talked in that room, sometimes the calls just go away. Check-ins with seeing how you're doing go away because they just don't get it fully, that there's a lot more going on than they know. And how can they know if we don't talk about it? So we need to also talk about it. But I just hope by sharing this on this podcast that it's twofold, that us as survivors maybe try to be more vocal about what we're feeling and going through, so those that are close to us know that that's going on, and that those that are close to us be in tune with that and check in and just understand that it's not over just because the treatments are over and just because we're no evidence of disease now. There are lingering effects that could last for the rest of our lives, from the physical point of view, from like the neuropathy, the chemo brain, cognitive aspect of it, from the joints to numerous other things, like for me, the cataract surgeries that I've had that affected my eyesight, and then the mental, from anxiety and depression, things that trigger us, not because we want to, but we can't help but think about cancer returning, or wondering if it's returning, or wondering if it's going to return, the wondering when the other shoe is going to drop, if you will. And the ultimate fact that just because we're strong doesn't mean that we don't have moments of feeling sad. By no means does that mean weak, of course, but just feeling sad. Sometimes we get depressed. Our lives changed. We are different. Our bodies are different. Our minds are different. And it's so good to know that there are experts in the field who see this, who study this, and who are talking about it, whether it's in a small, intimate setting like we had a couple of Fridays ago, or whether in bigger venues. These are things that we more and more should be talking about. Long gone are the days when we just didn't talk about mental health. If we learn to maybe slowly talk about it more to people, not just to our physicians or our therapists, but to those around us, as well as to ourselves, to realize that there's nothing wrong with me just because I have some sadness or anxiety or wonder if cancer's ever coming back. It's not having a lack of faith. It's not that you don't need a spirit of fear. And I get people say that in a loving way, but at the same time, do you really have to say that? That's just my personal opinion. Just maybe be there for your loved one and just say, hey, I can't begin to understand what you're going through, but I'm here for you. If you ever want to talk, if you ever want to scream, if you want to just get away, go to a movie, go for a walk, let me know. Do my best to be there for you. I think that goes a long way. And so, yeah, in a nutshell, that's what I got from that in-person Survivors program event. And for those that were there and want to share what you got out of it, or if there was something I missed, please let me know. You can put a comment down there. I know I don't always talk about everything in detail, but I do try to hit on some of the most important things. And because I'm a survivor of this ugly disease, I give my perspective as well. I think that's another reason I started this podcast, right? To just talk about some of the things that I don't get to share too much with people, because I don't have a lot of people around me at the moment. And it's a really great outlet. And going to these events are a really good outlet as well. Again, like I said at the beginning, it's a sisterhood, and to be around those who get it, who have been on this journey too, it's comforting, to say the least. And my bad, I did forget. The second part of that event was like a little bit of self-love, because self-care, self-love. And they had ladies that came in and then we did like a facial basically. And they gave us these creams, these moisturizers. I'm not great at this, and I'm starting to get more serious about my facial care. I kind of let myself live for many, many years being told, you got great skin, and sparingly using lotion to keep my skin soft because it was always just soft. I'll just say that. So I am kind of new. Yes, it's crazy at 55, which it was kind of like a year ago that I started thinking more about how better to clean my face and moisturize it so I can keep my skin softer. And considering I'm moving to Colorado, I really need to be up on that because it's so dry out there. But at any rate, I'll do my best to find the name of the spa that they represent and put it in the show notes of this episode. It was really nice to just get some new products, to feel fresh on my skin. And it was quite relaxing, quite rejuvenating. And yeah, all they needed was like some really nice dim lights and some candles with that lavender scent to make it even better. But no, seriously, I am not complaining whatsoever. It was really nice of them to do what they did. And they have an offer, I believe, for survivors to either get some kind of discount with going to that spa, or if memory serves me correctly, one of my Till sisters said that it might be free for us. But I don't want you to quote me on that because I may have heard it incorrectly. Again, I will add that to the show notes of this episode. So please, please read the notes because there are sometimes things that are important that I share there that I might have missed. So yeah. Again, I noticed that I have new listeners because my number went up from like 49 to 52. So thank you so much for joining the show. I really appreciate y'all giving me a listen. I don't want to call y'all followers. I like the word listener better. So please do come back and continue to give this show a listen. And for those Till sisters that I met, I mean it. I am serious when I say please get a hold of me and let's schedule a time for you to be a guest on this show. Because every one of us has a story and all our stories are different. And I firmly believe that the more stories we tell, the more advocacy we can give and the more awareness we can bring about from sharing our stories, lives can be saved. I believe that and I will always believe that. So yes, that's all I got for y'all on this one. Make sure to rate, review, and follow for those that have not, and hit that little bell so you can be notified when a new episode comes out. And just letting you know also, moving into this new season, I will only do one episode every month if I do not have a guest. And I am not sponsored by anybody, but if anybody out there, you know what I'm saying, just wink, wink, nudge, nudge, whatever, like to give Till Time with Hope a sponsor, please do reach out to me via Spotify or via my email, tilltimewithhope@gmail.com. That would be so lovely. But yeah, again, that's all I got for y'all on this one. Until next time, this has been Till Time with Hope. I am the host, Hope. Stay safe. Be well. God bless. Bye for now.